You were a star child, let your light shine for all the world. When you open your mouth to reveal a pearl, let it shine more, just to light the path. If it don't add up, man, just do the math. If it ain't for you, let it pass on through.
How you doing? This is Terrion Wilson, aka yo boy, Brotha T, here with another one. So we like to call this channel T's Life Tree. And on this channel, we like to drop pine cones of wisdom. If you don't know what that is, stick around, stay on the channel, you'll get it. Before we get started, I need you to do me a favor though. I need you to like and subscribe, because when you like and subscribe, we can continue to give you those pine cones of wisdom, because we know you really want them and a lot of people need them. Okay. Now, today we're going to talk about knowledge of self. Okay. And today I'm going to get into some personal information. So I'm going to talk about your man, Brotha T. I'm going to give you a little bit of glimpse into at least a certain portion of my life. Today is very important. And let me tell you, before I even get started telling my story, that the most important thing and the hardest thing you will ever do in life is learning who you really are. And by saying that, I'm talking about the good things as well as the bad things. Well, you can look at them as bad, but you get what I'm saying. The things that you love about yourself and the things that you don't love as much about yourself, and the things you have to change. That's what I mean by good and bad, okay? Because good and bad is kind of relative, actually. So how important is knowledge of self? What does it do for you? Okay. Knowledge of self makes you a better person in this way. If you have a knowledge of self, you know what makes you tick. Okay. And by makes you tick, I mean, you know what makes you happy. You know what makes you sad. If you don't have a knowledge of self, you just running around and you might get mad at anything. And you don't know why you're getting mad at it. If you have a knowledge of self, you know exactly why you get mad at it. Now, you still might get angry or mad, but you're able to dissect it and correct it. Even a lot of times makes you a better person overall, because next time that particular event happens, you handle it a totally different way, because you know that's part of you that you have to keep working on. Okay. And depending on what it is, sometimes you'll have to be in a continual mode of working on it. Okay. Now, what else can knowledge of self do? It can help you relate to your loved ones better, especially with a spouse, because you'll start to understand that in learning yourself, that they have some stuff that they may have to learn about themselves too. And it'll make you have more compassion when people, especially sometimes if people mistreat you, you'll understand it more, because just like you had to find out what makes you tick, there's something that makes that person tick as well. And there might be something in their past, or maybe even in their recent present, that made them do whatever they did to you. Okay? If you're in a relationship and this other person keeps cheating over and over again, that might stem from something. That might be them insecurities in them. That might be something that happened in their past with a mother or father. You don't know. Okay. And until they do that knowledge of self work, and then it'll start coming together for them. Let's go back. In my past relationship, I was married, of course, and I started my journey a couple of years into that marriage, right? So I started to learn more about myself. I was a devout Christian. I mean, I was so hardcore. I don't know if you guys know what an apologist is, right? So an apologist is a person that, well, I'll put it to you like this, just to make it easy, because it's kind of hard to explain what an apologist is, really. But it's somebody who argues on behalf of something, right? You can be, apologist is a general term that you can attach to almost anything. So I was going to be a Christian apologist, right? Which means at times I was going to be in debates, arguing for the religion. Anytime people had a question or anytime they wanted to question something in the Bible or something about what I believed, I was going to be that person that could stand there and make that argument and bring it on home for the home team, right? So what that meant, and that you can't just be your regular run-of-the-mill minister or elder or whatever when you're going to be an apologist, because when you debate and you come with that mindset of, oh, I'm a minister and I looked in the Bible, so here I'm ready to debate, you'll get eaten alive, because those people study who wrote that Bible. And when I say who wrote the Bible, I don't mean the names that are on the books. They study who actually wrote the Bible, who selected the books, why they selected the books, which books got taken out. If you only study the Bible itself, you're not equipped for that argument and you'll get eaten alive. You will. So being a Christian apologist, and I'm not disrespecting any, preacher out there doing what they're supposed to do. Keep doing your work as long as you're lifting the consciousness of these people and you keep them in a high vibration. I'm not going to condemn you. But what I'm saying is, you're not ready for that. You're not ready for that. No. Okay. So you have to go a little bit beyond, is what I'm saying. So to be an apologist, you have to dig deep. You have to go as far as you can go. And then sometimes in studying that, you start to see things, right? And you start to see things a different way. Now, I won't go into details what I saw, okay, and what I studied per se. I'm not going to go into details because I'm not trying to sway you for or against anything, okay? Just telling my story and letting you do what you will with it. I'm not a person that's going to force what I believe on somebody else. I'm just telling you my story. So, in the process of going in there and digging in and getting that information, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm ready for this fight. And I had to keep going. And then I started noticing a pattern, okay? And in signs, it started leading toward me a certain way. And I said, okay, wait a minute, this might not be exactly what I thought it was, okay? And that kind of pulled me away from what I was studying, okay? And I had to look at things in a broader manner. That started my journey to knowledge of self. I know you were listening to that story like, why is he going through all this? But it was leading somewhere, right? That was the beginning of my journey. Now, I will side note to another side story that kind of got me kicked off on my knowledge of self journey as well. There was a famous minister, I won't name him, but I was listening to his podcast and anything he did, I listened to. Any DVD he put out, I bought it. Any YouTube broadcast he did, I was there. Any he had, back then, and I'm about to date myself, but I had an iPod, right? Not iPad, not iPhone, iPod Classic. You remember those? The 30 gig classic. It was the big, that was a big hard drive, 30 gig back then, right? So I would fill it up with his podcast, and I was doing cable at the time. I would put it in my ear. I'll have my earbuds and I would do my cable job, because you spend a lot of time by yourself doing that job. And I would just listen while working. And I mean, I would just soak all this information in. I did this repeatedly. And he did one broadcast, because I know you're like, where is it going? Trust me, it's going somewhere. And it was one particular broadcast that he had on Christmas, right? So he's talking. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then he said, well, I won't go into details, because like I said, I'm not trying to sway you out there to go one way or another, but there's certain stories told, okay? And people say that the original story started somewhere else. And he was just saying that the reason why the story is older somewhere else than in the Bible is because the devil went back there and changed the information. So we would think that the story came before there. Okay, if you want to believe that, I'm not going to judge you. But I can tell you what it did for me when I heard it. When I heard it, two things occurred in me. And it wasn't immediate. It wasn't like, oh, I heard that, so let me jump up and do. No. This is how I received it. Okay. For one, I said, okay, so devil can go do that, he can do anything, any one of those, if you give him that kind of power, first of all. And the second thing that came to mind was, how come I didn't know about that other thing? Let me look into that. Okay. That kind of started the ball really rolling on my knowledge of self thing too. All right. So the apologist thing led to this is all the same time frame. Okay. So that happened. The apologist thing happened. The apologist studying research happened. And so I had to pull away. So at that point, I was slowly distancing myself from conventional Christianity. Hey, you might like it, you might not. Don't much care. So I did then because I hid it. So why did I hide it? I hid it out of fear, right? I didn't want people to judge me. And I grew up as Christian, so you know that's heavy, right? So when you brought up like that, and you're taught that you should be ashamed if you're not following the group with that, to do something else is shameful, you know. So that makes you kind of, well, I just won't mention it because I'm not gonna. But I wasn't being myself, you see. I thought I was doing the right thing, and actually I was doing the opposite. I wasn't being myself. So where did I go from there? Now, I started studying everything, okay? So everything I, could possibly, anything I was curious about, let me go. And then when I go into it, I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to put a cap on myself. I'm not going to limit myself. I'm going to go to the top of that thing. And then I noticed that a lot of those different things and religions and all spirituality, I noticed that it all pointed back to one source. So I'll get into that later. We're not going to talk too deep on that. So back to the knowledge of self. Where did I branch off? Okay, so I started looking into astrology as well. So I'm just going to give a disclaimer for some people. Astrology is not of the devil. Okay, it's not. It's all in the Bible. It's all through there. If you want to have a real conversation with me, I'll point it out to you. Okay, it's not the devil. Okay, so astrology just helps us know who we are. Astrology just tells us where the sun and the rest of the planets were on the day of our birth. And based on that, certain energies and vibrations on the earth, and it just affects you in certain ways, and you'll have certain characteristics based on that. Now, it's just a general thing. I'm not saying, let's say you're a Leo. I'm not saying that you definitely have every Leo trait. No, because there's something called a birth chart, which gives you an overall breakdown of who you are. But I tell you what, I give you the challenge, finding out what's in your birth chart. And then once you find out and start studying that stuff, you might get shocked and you might get amazed. You might know a little bit more about yourself. One quick story. I had a friend, and it was a she. And no, it wasn't while I was, I wasn't with my wife. And it wasn't a romantic thing anyway. But we connected on a level of, hey, I have some of this knowledge. I've been studying myself, boom, 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 boom. So I gave her some information to study. I gave her a book, and I let some time pass, some months passed, and then she reached out to me actually to wish me a happy Father's Day or something. And of course I said thank you, and then I just mentioned, hey, did you take a look at those books? And there were books on melanin and astrology, I think. And she said something like, no, I didn't. I'm just gonna let the Lord handle that, or something like that. I'm just gonna leave it in the hands of the Lord, or something like that. Okay, let me explain something to you. The reason why I gave her the book is so she can learn about herself. Okay? Now, let's say, because I'm not a Christian, so I don't subscribe to that. But let's say I did. Would the Lord want you not to know what to change in yourself? The Lord is not going to make you change your behavior. The Lord is not going to make, if you believe in the flesh, the Lord is not going to tame your flesh for you. It's not going to happen. Remember, I was going to be a Christian apologist, so I understand the concepts still from the Christian religion, so I can speak on this. The Lord is not going to tame your flesh for you. You have to do those things. What am I saying? What I'm saying is some things you have to do. Getting to know yourself, you can't wait for God to fix everything that's wrong with you. That happens because you are doing it, because he doesn't make you do anything. Okay? So that's to the people that want to argue with me about it. You know I'm right. Stop arguing. Okay, so that kind of stood out to me when she said that. And I didn't take offense because I understand where she's coming from, even though I disagree vehemently. And it took my knowledge of self to say that, okay, she just doesn't understand. And like I said, I understood her perspective because I stood in her shoes and thought that before myself. Let me get back on track. I take those lefts sometimes. Sometimes we driving along on the highway and we're headed toward a destination, and the old Brotha T got to make that left sometimes. Got to make that left to that gas station or that rest stop, right? All right, so let's get back on it. So the knowledge of self, I started looking into astrology, and astrology started telling me certain things within myself. And the more I studied it, the more I said, wow, this stuff is really, really accurate for me. Okay. And the more I studied it, I went deeper, deeper, and deeper. And the more deeper I went, the more I said, wow, that's me. Wow, that's me. That sounds like me. Wow, that's me. Okay. It was too many things to be a coincidence. So at that point, and no, astrology is not my religion. It's just something that I look to to find out certain things within myself. That's it. Okay. So a lot of you might have that question. Okay, so what religion are you? I don't subscribe to a religion. Some people, I do believe in a higher power. Okay, because I got that question before too. Because I don't celebrate holidays. Right, so I made it clear to somebody that I don't celebrate holidays, and the first thing out of their mouths was, "Are you an atheist?" I think it was Christmas. Okay, I said I don't celebrate Christmas. You ain't? Oh, you're not an atheist, are you? That's what they said. I said, no, I'm not an atheist. Okay, you know what I mean? Whatever. And I'll explain that later because people really get that atheist thing wrong. So I'm going to explain that on a video as well. Now, I don't subscribe to this. I don't subscribe to that. Christians subscribe to the God of the Bible. People that practice Islam, people that are Muslim, they subscribe to Allah. Okay. Hindus subscribe to many gods, depending on who it is and what it's for. You got this over there, that over there. Got African spirituality. Some are subscribed to, some are Christians even. Then you have some that then you have the Yoruba traditions and among other things. You have the Kemetic traditions over there in Africa, and all of them subscribe to something different. I'm more looking to source, right? I know that there's a higher power, and I just call it source. I don't call it God and this and that. I'll get into why I don't do that later as well. But I do believe in a higher source. Now, let me get back again. I took another left. Okay, so in studying those things, I started to know more about myself. And I believe this had a bad impact on my marriage. Was it the main reason why it didn't work out? I don't know. But what I can tell you is that it made me look at life a little different. But see, here's a danger of being attached to certain religions. Sometimes you can be trained, and I use the word trained on purpose. Sometimes you can be trained to be a certain way too. Okay. So if I train somebody from as young as they can walk, that your mate has to be Christian or else they're a bad person. And yes, some people really teach that. When you get to a certain age and then you're with somebody and they're not of that religion, the first thing is, well, you have to be the devil. You have to be an atheist, right? I just gave you an example of that. And a lot of times it's just a bunch of nonsense. Okay? If you, and I'm just throwing this in just for you to study it, and you'll find out I'm telling the truth. If you go to any prison, especially in the United States, and you ask around, okay, how many guys or girls in here were raised by single parents? A lot of them are going to raise their hands. And then if I ask the second question and say, how many of you guys consider yourself Christian? You're going to have a lot of people raise their hands. Okay. And I'm not saying Christians commit crimes. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, in telling people that I wasn't a Christian anymore, the first thing is like, how do you, so you just do whatever you want? It's like, no, I don't, you don't distance yourself from Christianity and go out and commit crimes. So I think I'm gonna get, because I don't believe in hell, I can go do whatever I want now. That's not how it goes. Okay. Because I believe in principles, right? I believe in integrity. I believe in you treat people well no matter what. Now, if you have a problem with that, then I don't know what to tell you. Okay. So knowledge yourself is very important. This knowledge yourself might have had an impact on, or one of the things that had an impact on that situation not working out. And that's kind of sad because we never had a real conversation about it. Okay. We did, but it was more surface. And it's another thing about getting that knowledge yourself and getting the real knowledge that you need for you to become a better person, is that it opens you up to have any conversation to anybody about anything. I can talk about anything with confidence, right? If I have knowledge on that subject, of course. If it's something I don't know about, then of course I won't be equipped to have the conversation. What I'm trying to say is, no matter how deep the conversation go, I can have a conversation. Okay. And there's a power in that. Okay. It's a power in that. And it just makes you an overall more accepting and open person. If I can have let's say you wanted to have a conversation with me about God and the devil, bam, let's do it. If you want to have a conversation with me about atheism, let's do it. If you want to have a conversation with me about Hinduism, let's do it. If you want to have a conversation with me about heaven and hell, let's do it. If you want to have a conversation, you get what I'm saying? If you want to have a conversation about molestation, let's do it. Childhood trauma, let's do it. Rape, let's do it. Okay? What I'm trying to say is that when you go to that path of getting to know yourself and getting that knowledge yourself, a lot of times it just opens you up, period. And it makes you more receptive. Okay? You don't become as judgmental to everybody else. You start to understand why people are the way they are. Okay, why they have these different things. So let's wrap it up. So that was my story of knowledge of self. And of course, since then, I've been gradually growing and learning. And let me tell you, best decision I ever made in my life. The most difficult thing I ever did as well. So I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say, oh, it's going to be super easy. Just do this and your life is just poof. It's going to be better. No, this is a work in progress. I'm constantly working. I'm constantly learning. But one thing I can tell you is that I do not regret 1 second of it. Not for 1 minute. So this has been your man, Brotha T. And I really enjoyed you taking the time to watch this video today. I like to do this on every video. I like to give you a thank you. And if you've seen a video where I didn't give the thank you, I apologize. But I am grateful. I am appreciative for every single moment that you spend on this platform. This has been your man, Brotha T, and I will talk to you later on, family. When you get a chance, you can check my other channel out, T's Money Tree. I have a lot more energy on that channel. So if you want to check that out, that's cool. And on that channel, we show people a different perspective on life, prosperity, and generational wealth. If you into that stuff, check that stuff out too. If you want the other knowledge, come here to get these pine cones of wisdom. This has been your man, Brotha T. I'm out of here. Peace.